All right. Welcome, everybody, to the Longleaf Press poetry reading for Charles Harper Webb, whose beautiful book, Old New, just came out from Longleaf Press. And also from Ken Fifer, whose gorgeous book, Caravaggio's Kimono, came out from Longleaf Press some time ago. But it was when I was in the thick of postpartum preeclampsia. And so we are just now getting around to giving Ken his wonderful reading. We're so excited. So sorry it took so long. But we are just thrilled to have you both here this evening and so thrilled that all the audience members came to join us. So thank you so much for being here. I'm Shannon Ward. I'm the president of Longleaf Press. And I just have a few housekeeping announcements before we get started. The first thing is that we do have submissions open for the Jody Stewart Solstice Prize, whose deadline is on summer solstice this year, which is June 21st. And Nicole Brown will be judging that contest. And so we're really looking forward to that. And we are in the process of selecting this year's winner of the Longleaf Press Book Prize. So look for that information to come out soon. We're a little bit behind schedule on announcing the winner due to some illnesses. However, it will be towards the end of this month, I think, that we'll make the final announcement. So please stay tuned for that. We are also at AWP this year, so I will be there tomorrow from 2 to 5, as well as Saturday from 2 to 5. And then LJ Bowens, our esteemed board member, will be there tomorrow from 9 to 2, I think, and same on Saturday. So please come by and visit us if you are at AWP, and we look forward to seeing you. So first things first, I want to introduce our judge for the Longleaf Press Book Contest, Roger Weingarten. Roger is a treasure for Longleaf Press. We have published his work. He's looking at me like, what are you talking about? It's true. Roger, you really helped to make sure that when the press kind of unhinged from the university, that we didn't go under, we didn't sink. And for that, we are forever going to be grateful. So we published Roger's work when we were back at the university and published two books by Roger. So for The Four Gentlemen and Their Footmen, and also Fire, oh goodness, I just Roger, unmute and tell me the name of this book before I mess it up.
Premature Elegy by Firelight.
Premature Elegy by Firelight. I
I'm
was just
changing the
tripping over my,
title now.
yes, I got it now.
Okay. Do I need
Um, So Roger, we are always very grateful for. He's author of 11 poetry collections, including Ethan Benjamin Bolt out of Knopf and Ghost Wrestling from Godine, as well as the ones that I mentioned from Longleaf. And he's also co-editor of 8 poetry and prose anthologies. And he's taught and read at conferences, poetry festivals, and universities internationally. He was the founder and a senior professor at the MFA in Writing and Postgraduate Writers Conference at Vermont College from 1981 to 2008. And his awards include a Pushcart Prize, 3 Vermont Council on the Arts grants, a Louisville Review Poetry Prize, a National Endowment for the Arts Fellowship, an Ingram Merrill Award in Literature. And his poems, stories, and essays have appeared widely, including in places like the New Yorker, Poetry, the American Poetry Review, and so on. So Roger, thank you so much for all that you do for poets and for Longleaf. We are just so grateful to you. So please, Roger, if you will introduce Ken, and then we will get started with the poetry reading.
got it? So, my job at Invisible Cities Press is as editor in chief, and I relish it. And working with Shannon and all the poets that I've worked with and will work with, and being able to reach a point in the history of the press where we could bring on books by people who haven't won the prize through the Solstice Prize, and for the second time, because the first time was George Rollins's first book, Cheapside Afterlife, which came about between me and Shannon before we started the Longleaf Prize. Um, and the Longleaf Prize gives me the opportunity every year, though it is a chore. I think I could say this without it being bragging, but unlike judges of other poetry competitions, to get my fingernails in the dirt and do the reading with the other readers. And I'm so grateful to Charles, to Ken, to everybody who helps out with the reading. So, belatedly, but everything in poetry happens belatedly. It takes a while. You know, we're not as hot as Major League Baseball, you know, but we're maybe hot. I used to think poetry was hotter than curling. And then I watched curling at this Winter Olympics and twigged to all of the little elements of it. And I thought, God, I've missed this my whole life, and I'm up here in the north, where curling's like a religion. Okay, so blah blah. Uh, so Ken's gonna read first, and I'm gonna introduce him with these words. From the vernal ponds and fishy vicissitudes of everyday life, laid bare by a charismatic imagination and lyric intensity, a la mode de Sappho, to the fictive bodies of muck, bodies of water, bodies of love. Fifer's Caravaggio's kimono swept me away to a Turkish sidewalk cafe, to the steel wilderness of his memory, to Dett's ode, Gerald Stern, and Tristan Zara. I've dug into these purgatories, rifts, and gorges to climb back and trumpet the motley pleasures they give this reader. Welcome to Ken. Shit.
Ken, you have to unmute. So sorry.
Okay, can you hear me? I said motley pleasures indeed. Pleasure to see you all again, and I'll read you some of the poems from the Caravaggio's kimono, including the title poem, whose subtitle is The Rest on the Flight into Egypt. That's a Caravaggio painting. Friends, and by friends I mean anybody not offended by kimonos in the desert or watching angels play squatters to sleep in the harmonious moment between felonies when the sky withdraws replaced by music. Thank you for visiting Caravaggio and me at Be and Let Be Spa and Wellness in Macungie, PA, across the street from Lehigh County's murmuring recycling pond, waves that bubble and pulse at dusk, all base elements transformed. Who'd have guessed you'd be stopping here to rest and choose a new dress for your flight into Egypt? Maybe a few. Nevertheless, allow me to welcome you. Past the aisles of ready-to-wear, past Herod's decrees, bombers above battlefields, Mickey Mouse piano keys, and everything you've worn before. You'll arrive at last at Caravaggio's kimono, a monster hero beast drawn free, hand in red and yellow dyes folded in the shape of a sleeping bear. Why not try it on? Or like Frank Lloyd W., would you prefer wisteria embroidered on trellises? After all, it's your last resort too. Welcome to the half-light at the edge of the miasma where every moment invents its own bliss. Okay. This is a poem to Jerry Stern, but since you're all poets, it seems appropriate to read it to each of you. Your lucky life. In your sailor hat and pea coat, you cross the asphalt and see what you thought was your home is a derelict boat. From the prow, what was a black locust turns out to be a Jacob's ladder. When you climb down, you imagine you're in Washington crossing State Park, but actually you are on your own porch in Raubsville thanking Pat for the tuna on rye. Lean back, sip your Schlitz, look at the river, shift your chair among the ornamental pillars that hold up the gabled roof, as if whatever comes your way leaves your prints. When locusts slump and noisy maples dig in to grow bored and windy along the pointless Delaware, when banister paint peels from your palms, when black and white sparrows leave no tracks at all, you believe they're all your countrymen. When moles tunneling under your sills smack their lips, with a river this close, they must be your blood. When you bite into a sandwich, you savor the pleasure and ache of harvested grain in silos where the light goes down. You can taste the gaff in your cheek, the fishy vicissitudes, the last moments of tuna roused from the deep that fit so faultlessly into your mouth. This poem, Shiners, was also in the Pennsylvania State Anthology recently, and it's set in a state park, Ricketts Glen, and it's in a place called Waters Meet, where many waterfalls come together. At Waters Meet, it's no breeze rising from stones after falling asleep. Silence grows unthinkably thin, while shiners flash and fan their fins for the least of things in the water's dish. Lines and circles, indecipherable signs. I have a thought, but water's clouded. I have a thought, but can't pronounce it. Waters meet, collides, steep creeks, pooling dark around downed pine. In shallows, water striders glide, when all their legs can't bring them ease. Okay, Love in a Time of Drought, a poem written, as many of these are, for my wife. By the dry creek bed in front of our door, I can't hear a stink bug buzz or even find a cloud in the sky. Under willows along headwaters, in the depressions left by vernal ponds, among sensitive ferns and jack in the pulpits and umbrella plants hung out to dry, stupefied by heat. At the edges of fleabane and briar, I find neither newt nor frog. Until, out of the blue, 13 wild turkeys, too big and loud, march single file onto the lawn, stare at you sideways, and plop down rustling in the shade to wait. Even wild turkeys, the dumbest of birds, see through you, daydreaming rain, streams, lakes, well water hosed into tin pie plates. They already taste the grapes in their mouths.
Beautiful.
Thank you. Indifference. Last leaves, gray rain, pale distances. Not long before we've been over this. Between regrets, between false starts. Come with us, come dear hearts, and do not ask us who we are, knowing already the transit of our star is predictable and mysterious. The sky is narrow, steep, star-rigged. Pure indifference forces us. We wear our lives like amulets. In Ankara, I smell the story of lost love. I spent a lot of time in Turkey, and I've done translations from the Turkish, and I have a lot of friends there. In Ankara, I smell the story of lost love. What to say about these gatherings in the basements of 1,000 chicken restaurants where groups of shy Turks, you among them, defend the return of cumin and whisper the ascent of time? Tell them we're not Saudi Arabia. Tell them we're not barbarians. Last night, I scoped a dog shot in the market and dragged out of an ornate fountain where it had splashed and growled after showing off its jaws all week. In a strange burg, there's always a risk. What can you do when all the squares and traffic circles are deliciously draped with dried intestines? I'm so busy following my nose with my feet, I forget all about my American teeth. The Turks never understand why Americans don't like them better and think that they are Arabs, which is a bad thing from their point of view. little little comedy, such as it is. This is a poem for Joel R. Poinsett, who was the first U.S. ambassador to Mexico. He was also a horticulturalist, and, well, Flor de Noche Buena. I desire the flower that means good night, free lightning from the turpentine tree. Franken incense doesn't interest me. An unpronounceable, stiff-necked myrrh is better off left buried. But your flower, Mr. Ambassador, your shrub of moist ravines, is the true pride of our nation, despite its dopey leaves. The entire diplomatic corps should take a tip from you. Its grace and light renew our soils. Defoliants won't do. So, gracias, Joel R. Poinsett, though some say you're red, you refuse to sow and reap bad dreams and cross-bred bracts instead. If just half, our diplomats had taken up your trowel and spread their bullshit on the ground, the whole earth would flower.
Ava.
And one last one, I think. Bazad is the very, very famous 17th century miniaturist. And this is called My Mind Fallen from a Flowering Tree. In his unfinished miniature assault on a castle, Bazad places me among plumed soldiers showered down upon by molten pitch. Showered down upon by molten pitch, while the enemy advances past the last drawbridge. I can't bear to watch the prince in his tower perfectly postured, unruffled against a backdrop of puckering clouds. Bazad stirs penance on the parapets that knot the edges of the earth air, kill blood red, black, and summer green. For painters and princes, it's all in the eye, rising above the minor debris. But for those under fire, burning with grief, there's neither fashion nor serenity. Bazad captures the moment before my fears overwhelm me and I flee, throwing my stupid hat to the ground. Thank you so much, friends.
Hey, read the last one.
The last poem in the book?
Calabasas.
Okay. Calabasas. 10,000 left the high ground and marched to the coast. Unable to contain our blood, the slippery ground is flattened by our departure. Our body weight surprises us. Space condenses, but that's not sea wind crisscrossing us, just bad air exhumed from a charnel house. Imagine a stranger's oration, maybe a simple stone in a valley tinted by red sky, an inscription any scryer would appreciate to set what's crooked straight. Passing through our bodies, We wormed our way to day break to boo hoo over the open graves.
Bravo. Gorgeous.
Thank you.
Just takes me back to you and I going over this manuscript and before we published it, and how much fun it was to read, how rich the language is, and the syntax. And it really, its textures and imaginary specifics, as you know, really grabbed me. So,
Well, that's very kind. Roger, as you all know, is sort of the most wonderful editor one could imagine.
Yeah, Ken, let me also throw in all kinds of praise there. That was very beautiful language. I mean, I love the cadence of it all the way through, the sounds. It yeah, I felt bad that you couldn't hear any applause, but it was there.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Such a beat poet bravado. It's a pleasure to hear you read.
yeah, it was beautiful, just as it is reading it. So,
I loved all the water, the feeling of water in the first what three poems. They were just beautiful.
Thank you.
so take a breath for a second here. Stretch your eyelashes, and then we will hear from Charles. Ah. Beguiled by his poetry since '99, when I found myself in a bookstore poetry section, unable to tear myself from Liver's marvelous poems, when a squeaky voice breaking my concentration asks, "Are you going to buy that?" 25 years go by, and old new this latest collection of driven, deeply remembered, funny, tragic, linguistically brilliant, brilliantly composed, and moving explorations of the human experiment once again captures my whole being, from dreadnought eggs to the pure pornography of plants, from his way of making turtles swim in air to wondering if we are a yeast infection in our Mother Earth. Um, Charles.
All right. I just made my cat jump down again. Okay, I'm gonna start. I'm sure you guys have all heard the well, I guess it's an idea called the infinite monkey theorem, that given enough time and monkeys banging on typewriters, one will type Shakespeare's complete plays. I just think that's a hilarious thing, and uh, and I identify with the monkey, so I'm going to start with this. Lucky monkey. Many, of course, will butcher the bard's best. Hamlet become a tiny sandwich, Polonius inhaling a basketball. One macaque will write King Lear, but follow with the complete works of Danielle Steele. Somewhere, though, some monkey will, after months in isolation, lift his hands from the keys, chew pensively on a flea he's pinched off his head, and contemplate from the treetop of his monkey brain the pages cluttering his nest of leaves. By purest chance, he'll stack them all in perfect order and bind them into folios. He'll stretch his fingers, flex his opposable thumbs. Then, as monkey keyboards clatter on, and somewhere in infinity, dead billions wait for happier versions of their canceled lives, this monkey will sashay outside into a jungle full of red-rumped females and that yellow fruit he's missed so much. Oh, Roger, also, since I wanted to thank you for your wonderful editing of this, and if there's anything in it that you want me to read, just say so. Uh, I'm gonna read next, I think. Well, I know I am. I oh yeah, here we go. Um, my son, I just realized he doesn't have a camera on his very expensive gaming type computer, so that's why we're not seeing his.
Oh, hi,
Yeah,
Eric. Can you hear me? Hi,
yeah,
Eric.
he, yeah. So he can hear. Uh, anyway, this is a poem that I wrote. Yeah, he says hi all. Um, this is a poem that I wrote when I was chauffeuring him and his girlfriend to I guess it once or twice a week to a Hungarian dance thing. She was Hungarian and they had this very impressive Hungarian ball. And this poem grows out of that, and it's called Chauffeur. How comfortably they lean into each other in my car's back seat. The boy I taught to hit a curve and play guitar, embraced by the blonde girl from Hungary. They know things they're certain no one else can know. Having become, as the Bible says, one flesh, they see even those whose love created them as stowaways to be booted off their ship. They laugh to see us growing smaller as hot winds shove their sails toward isles of orchids and spice, azure lagoons that teem with fish painted in crimsons, emeralds, tangerines, no eyes but theirs fully perceive. They've heard from us how quickly calm seas can summon waves to smash them, winds to tear their sails and hurl them onto shores where sun can't pierce the hail of pumice and brimstone. But they know adults are full of baseless fears. My son, I see as I change lanes, has placed his head in the girl's lap. He shuts his eyes. She shuts hers too, stroking his hair, then folds over him like a flower closing for the night.
Beautiful.
Yeah, that was interesting. Well, see, he can't say anything, so let's see. I may as well do the title poem here, Old New. Um, A lot of the poems in this book, I can't imagine why, but they have to do with getting older and facing one's demise, my demise. So this one, well, I'm not going to say I'm the old new, but I relate to the old new, just like I related to that monkey. Old new, GNU. He's always galloped at the center of the herd, pressed and protected by jolting bodies as in a river of horn, meat, blood, and hair they swept across the veldt. Yet no matter how the rest bellowed and banged, how dense their heat and stink, he sensed a space between him and the rout. He knew he savored the lush grass a little more, slurped more pleasurably from the turbid streams, loved more powerfully the spring migration to the forest, the fall migration back through sloshing rain. He coupled with more and prettier females, always with special force and tenderness, loving their offspring as they fell, bloody, helpless, struggling to stand, then imbued with full newness, loping away. Only he could grasp he thought, the incongruity of new, cobbled from spare parts before God infused the drives of his own heart. Yet now he moves toward the margins of his herd. Or does the center shove him out? Now he runs not with the torrent, but a trickling stream, as when galaxies that clump into a creamy mass of light thin into night's empty corners. He tries to shove back to the center, The crush won't let him in. The grass he tramples reeks of blood. Hearing moans and howls, he sees now the lions, hyenas, crocodiles he shook to think of back when fear was fun. Do they creep closer every day, or does he run toward them, as the old have always done? Let's see. I had a couple I was definitely going to read you, and oh, okay. Here's one that a friend of mine, a really good poet named Richard Garcia, wrote a poem called The Other Odyssey. And I thought it was so funny and cool that I wrote The Other Iliad here. And of course, it's dedicated to Richard. Achilles doesn't rage. Troy doesn't burn. When Paris steals Helen, the most cantankerous woman in the world, her husband, Menelaus, grins. Odysseus builds Paris a wooden horse in sympathy. The Greeks launch 1,000 ships to taunt the Trojans, who have to endure assaulting their eardrums and the palace walls. Troy's filthy. Everybody stinks. My clothes are rags. We never do anything fun. Hector's chariot crushed my dog, and you don't care. When, to end an epidemic, Agamemnon surrenders his favorite concubine, he doesn't confiscate Achilles, but trades Big A wedding gown of gold spangled with pearls. Asked, who's the lucky girl? Achilles winks. His friend Patroclus shares his armor, but avoids Trojans who make scurrilous jokes with the word Greek. The seer Tiresias advises, change your name. Achilles roars, call her Patricia or taste my burnished sword, since in those days sex change meant chop, shriek, and likely die. Patricia masters the tuck and hide. Her wedding to Achilles replaces Hector's funeral at this epic's end. The gods stop squabbling and heap gifts on the pair. So do the Trojans, except for Helen, who calls it all a sick affair. The couple honeymoon in Crete, where they shake the Minotaur's hoof and steal his nose ring. Big A trusts his plantar fasciitis plagued, soft as doe skin, heel only to Patricia, of whose special charms the other Homer never tires to sing. So blame Richard if you don't like it. Let's see. Oh,
I
okay.
love it. I love it. There's points where you couldn't hear me laugh out loud. Nando, slept right through it though.
uh, yeah, when I do readings, a lot of times I do stuff that's funny, and it's weird to hear silence. I can't help but feel I'm bombing, but I know better. How could these glorious poems bomb? Um,
You're not bombing.
I'm kidding, kind of. But it is weird. It's weird when I'm used to kind of chatting with the audience and so forth. So glad to chat with you, Roger. Um,
Well, everybody could put their sound back on if they
yeah,
want.
yeah, it wouldn't bother me. I mean, anyway, do it or don't do it. I don't care. This poem is came about, I guess, at the heart of it is the fact that I've never really been fond of mimes. I guess a lot of people aren't. Um, but the poem is called, referencing that, I too dislike them. There I was, clomping through Westwood with a date I'd met online. I was 10 years older, 4 inches shorter than advertised. She had to be a dozen older and three taller, even with the hump. Imagine, as I walked her to her car, non-interest doesn't justify discourtesy. How a mime pranced out from behind a palm tree, blinked his starry eyes to show surprise, then embraced empty air, squinched his Alpha Centauris, and pooched his lipstick mouth, meaning even I could see, kiss her, you fool. I know mimes strive to catapult the viewer into a French epiphany of what dear silly things we are. Still, as I slogged toward the lady's dusty, rusty Dodge Decay, as I stood unconsciously miming a man after a clown has dumped a vat of soured yogurt in his hair, I would have kissed a million mimes to zap our lonely, lying asses out of there. Let's see.
Hey, I love the poem. Have you seen the movie The Aristocrats?
I'm sure I have. I can't
It's the
remember.
one about the joke, The Aristocrats. It's totally filthy, and I believe it's on Amazon Prime. And I rewatched it the other day, and it's this long-winded joke that's the filthiest of filth, and it goes back many decades, and it's something comedians tell themselves after their shows. So there's this mime in it, and he mimes the whole joke on the beach with people walking by. You have to see it, Charlie. And everybody else.
I like it already.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, this guy was so good.
All right. Yeah. Well, I'll make a note of that. Eric, remind me. It's the aristocrats. Okay. This is one that I got inspired by a student of mine who told me in a poetry writing class that there's an adage on the internet, and that adage is this: if it exists, there's porn of it. And I thought that was just fascinating. I'm told that that's true and that everybody who's really a fan of the internet knows that adage. To me, it was a revelation. So anyway, this poem is called If It Exists, There's Porn of It. Horn of haystacks, porn of railroad tracks and steam engines, electricity porn, porn of spicebush swallowtails, porn of cecropia moths, citrus psyllids, Huang Long Bing disease, porn of paper clips, toothpick porn, so many dark corners in cyberspace, so many sinkholes, lewd dimensions, depraved worlds, so many hiding spots under dead trees, behind waterfalls, in cavern, crypts, and cenotes. Freud said it best: everything not a cave is a cigar. Humans invented sex to get love, a shallow substitute for porn. No one in real life feels enough frisson. We never find exactly what we're looking for. That's why we need file cabinet porn, dishwashing porn, tax doing porn, marshmallow porn, peppercorn porn, hospice porn, root canal porn, survival of the fittest porn, survival of the least fit too. Big Bang porn, creationist porn, Jesus, Confucius, Buddha, Muhammad, Joseph Smith, L. Ron Hubbard porn, Little Engine That Could porn, William Tell Overture porn, Let There Be God, said porn, our porn which art in heaven, hallowed be thy URL.
Fabulous. Bravo.
God, I had my watch all set and I didn't punch it, or I must have messed it up. So I don't know how long I've gone.
Doesn't
Uh,
matter.
okay,
You
well,
asked if there was a poem.
I was talking about roughly things sexual. Here's here's a poem called What Conquers All. Every detergent box and candy bar exists to start things coupling. Every clump of pubic seaweed at the beach, every stone slapped by the tide, every hacksaw, pocket watch, electric zither, fresh plowed field, rocket to Mars roars, be fruitful, multiply. Women's smiles are libidinous, ditto men's fists. Plants are pure pornography. Cones and acorns littering the lawn, pollen clogging the lascivious air that also pimps for seeds and scents, calling male swallowtails to females, stallions to mares. Even the asphalt slopped by sweaty crews onto our streets allows the sexes easy access, inciting them, lewd senators, to Congress. Sperm kamikaze into dreadnought eggs, while bed springs squeal under mattresses designed to aid the act, then let the actors rest between performances. Though you swear Cindy Starlet lacks the brain power of a nematode, charm of a liver fluke, morals of a female mantis as she humps a sleek, wet car while hawking burgers to your sons, she's really advertising eggs. How is that worse than your yard full of fornicating bugs, your house that harbors filmy underthings and filthy secrets, your Bible stuffed with sex stories conceived to lure some dark-eyed desert belle into some grim prophet's tent? There, amid the smell of goats, she'll make another just like him. Let's see. I don't know. Do you have any idea how much more I should do? Because I really blew it
Why don't
by.
you do page 80 since it's
Oh,
just before then? And then
okay.
you asked if I thought it would be different.
Oh yeah. Okay. This is from that famous picture by M.C. Escher, and it's called "A Hand Holding a Pencil Draws a Hand Drawing a Hand Holding a Pencil." Which started first? To which hand does the other belong? Matters of law come into play, of creation and royalties, of what to worship and why, of who commands. If space ends, what comes after it, my son demands. If the universe began, what came before? If God created it, who created God? Who created creatine? And does it help create huge lats? Who created cretins and cretins? Who made cretin a bad word? Who created home run records with chemical help? And should he be in jail or in the Hall of Fame? If Abner Doubleday did not create baseball, did it leap into being like the cosmos? Did it always exist? Who created lawyers to dispute ownership? Why can Achilles never catch the tortoise that starts a race ahead of him? Brain wants to know. Brain, which is our seeing eye dog, and hearing, tasting, touching, feeling too, that guides us through the universe that may or may not end. Brain full of white matter and gray, neurons and neurotransmitters with names that came from Greek, that came from Indo-European, that bubbled from the mouths of protozoans long after they created mouths and brains. Who created evolution, that created the hand that drew the pencil drawing hands? Is the statement, all cretins are liars, spoken by a cretin, true? Who erased the red-haired boy I used to be? Who is the balding, sag-jawed, slouched, heart-failing wretch that just before he grabs his chest and falls into the mountain lake he hiked to, hoping to get away from it all, looks back at me?
Uh,
Okay, should I end with one? I have one that I want to that's a little longer, but not too long. Is that okay to end with that? Yeah, I always like short stories that end moving on to the next. So this is a poem that's definitely going to be in my next book, which is still taking shape, but it seems like a good poem to end with. Um, and again, I identify with the speaker in this. This is called you have to imagine a Shakespearean jester. This is called Last Soliloquy of Dipstick the Fool. After 40 years as royal fool, he's still funny as he capers through the court, concocting hijinks and bedding chambermaids. But his parents are dead. His wife is bitter as peach pits. His hearing's bad. His right hip aches. He gets up 5 times a night to pee. His favorite daughter's clinically depressed, and his dog, older in dog years than he is, moans and wheezes constantly. He thought he would do something great, invent calculus, cure gout, discover America. Now he understands he's peaked at fool. Leaning against an oak tree to take weight off his hip, he looks out at the audience as a single acorn bounces off his nose. The chemistry of life, he begins, geysers up into what we know as joy. Another acorn strikes his fool's cap and balances. He brushes it away. All living things feel this joy. Roaches and lumpfish and least bitterns and sea urchins and wildebeests, he says. Even bladderworts and tetanus germs feel it. That's why we struggle so hard not to die. He looks up at the ceiling, ablaze with lights. Thank you, sky, for being blue and full of clouds and oxygen. He stretches his arms toward the audience. Thank you, sea, for fish and storms and waves to surf and whales that induce in good people a suitable humility. Thank you, maggots, for feeding lizards, frogs, and birds and hastening decay. Thank you, too, feces, for fertilizing fields and clearing out my gut so that I have more room for plum pudding and brandy. Glorious dirt, he shouts, for pushing things up and taking back what's fallen down. Glorious trees for rope swings and shade and whispering leaves and teaching children to love green. Glorious audience for applauding my shtick year after year. Glorious me for not taking myself too seriously. While he continues thanking things and shouting, glorious and joy, stagehands clear away the oak, which turns out to have wheels. They sweep dropped acorns off the stage, then exit, followed by the audience. As Dipstick stands alone in his fool cap, with his bad hip, shouting joy, one single firefly spotlights his grin. Thank you.
Way to go.
Thank you so much, Charles. What a
Yeah.
delight to hear your work.
Well, it's really great to have this book with Longleaf, and I'm really grateful to everybody. Well, the two of you who were behind it, and especially Roger. I know I gesture as if you know where I'm gesturing, but Roger is behind the whole thing, and I really appreciate it, man.
I think in this last poem, you've really captured what it means to live the life of somebody who writes poems when you use the word, well, used it in the plural, but the word bladderwort, which is, I think, with tiddlywinks, one of the great words in the language. So, thanks to both of you for the evening.
Wait, more praise, more praise for Charles before we move away. Those were wonderful, wonderful poems. I enjoyed them so much. I wanted you to read almost all of them a second time because there was more than I could catch, but what an achievement, man. That was wonderful.
Well,
A
thank you.
pleasure.
Feelings mutual, man. It was really a pleasure to read with you.
So much
I already
levity.
own Ken's book, but Charles, yours is the next one to be purchased, I have to tell you. That was an awesome reading. Thank
Oh,
you.
thank you.
I have a class starting in 2 minutes, so I am going to disappear, but thank you for letting me know that this is happening, Ken. Appreciate it.
Great meeting you, Carol.
Thank you for coming.
Bye. Nice to- Yeah, I just wanted to say, Charles, the personality and voice in your poems is so compelling. And the person in your poems is just such a delightful person
Well,
that,
thank
yeah.
you.
And
Here's hoping I live up to it in the world.
with
Well,
your humor and your just the way in which you think is just incredible. So,
I really appreciate that, Mark.
um,
That's really
the
very
work amazes me. And in my house, since there's two people who write poems and read poems here, my copy of Shadow Ball, his selected from Pitt, had disappeared. And of course, I knew where it had gone. And of course, the door was shut because she had clients and there was no way to get. So I ordered another copy of Shadow Ball. And I've been really enjoying and loving that as well. And grateful that you came our way.
Yeah, well, it was all you, man. I mean, remember, we were just kind of chatting, and you called me up and said you wanted to do it, and I mean, that was a great thing. So,
Well, I couldn't have said that if it weren't for Shannon. We both said it.
We're honored that you trusted us with your work, and it's such a delight to publish it and to read it. You are a master of the list and of humor. Humor is such a difficult thing to do in poetry, I think, and you just are really adept with it. And I thank you for giving me some laughs tonight. I needed that.
good. Well, I remember when, at the postgraduate conference when Roger would be in the audience. That's why I liked it. Roger and I could quip back and forth, and it was, it was just relaxed and easy and fun. And so I'm glad that you chimed in.
So, one of the things about humor in poetry is when you read the poem for the 95th time, is that aspect of it still funny? And I've been reading his work for 28 years, every year, every month, sometimes every day. And all I can tell you is they continue to hold water with more than the best of them.
Well, boy, thank
And
you. That's
you,
really high praise. I appreciate it.
and you really need to see the aristocrats.
Yeah, I will. I'm gonna have to do that.
So, what else? Anything on anybody's mind? Because if not, I'm going to go fill my belly with.
Yes, I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning and AWPing all day, so I'm
Yeah, yeah.
pancake.
Well, thank you for being
12,000.
the banner of the press. It's yeah, again,
oh,
I really appreciate your inviting me into this press. So
did
Welcome
you
to the
see your
Longleaf
son's
family.
note?
Oh
What
yeah.
note?
great job, you
Oh,
can.
wait
Good.
a minute. Oh, I see it. It's a little thing at the bottom under your chin, Margaret.
Yes, there's a little chat box.
It's from your son.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah. Who is a fan of Roger's son, Noah, the musician.
Jonah.
Jonas, sorry, Jonas.
Eric, I don't know if you know this or not, but uh, Jonah started up with a second band with another band called Catalyst Crime, and they're pretty much a German band, I think, German, Scandinavian, and him. And he is in Europe right now with the group Leaves Eyes, that's a wholly Scandinavian group, of which he wrote one whole album for them. And Catalyst Crime and Leaves Eyes are spending the next 3 weeks every day going town to town like old caravans of
Huh.
theater performers and musicians and so forth. But so I don't know, Eric, if you've been catching up. Wait a minute. Catalyst Crime kicks ass. Have you listened to Leaves Eyes, Eric?
wow.
I can't see anything. Wait, here we go.
Yes.
I've listened to all of it.
Wow.
Good. Did you listen to Sentinels, Jonah's thing? I'm trying to, if I'm saying the right name even. He and this guy played Prague Power this last early September, late August. And this fellow, whose name I'm blanking on, of course, and Jonah got a whole crew of musicians local to Atlanta who, when anyway, this Prague Power performance, tell him to bring his band to LA and that's enough. I get the rest of
Yeah.
it.
Would
Yeah.
love to see them.
Yeah.
And I will bring the whole contingent of ICE agents to it. So anyway, I'm glad you're still following his music. I love, I don't listen to any popular music with words in English, but Jonah's music, the words don't stick in my pathetic brain. But I love to listen and watch him on stage. I mean, he takes sort of standing behind a keyboard or keyboards to a new level of physicality.
Hmm.
So, um,
Well, Eric's playing some guitar now, and he's getting pretty good. So,
good.
yeah, if you could see him, he looks like a rocker. He's got like major long hair and everything. So
I'd like to see him, but all I see
I know.
are these sans serif stand-ins.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, Eric, have you connected with Jonah again, or was that last time the last time, the one I was aware of? I've been Facebook friends with him,
For over 13 years.
for over 13 years. Okay. How come you get all that?
I don't know. Maybe
Okay.
my screen might be bigger.
Oh, how big? How
I
big
mean,
is
it's
your
just a
screen?
regular MacBook screen.
That's what I've got.
No,
I've got it. Maybe it's because it's so wide.
perhaps.
Yeah. But also, uh, the guts of it got replaced about 3 years ago. So I don't know how much longer it's going to last.
Mm.
But anyway, so go to sleep, Shannon.
I'm on Ziggy's schedule. It's past her bedtime, and therefore it's past my bedtime.
Okay.
Huh.
But
Well, I
thank
love
you
you
all so much.
all.
Thanks again,
Thank you.
everybody.
Okay. Good night,
Talk to
everybody.
you soon.
Night.
Good
I'll
night.
be I'll be buying both of your books right away. So
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Okay.
call me, but don't make it earlier than 1 o'clock. Goodbye.
I'll call you tomorrow or the next day.
All right.
Okay. Good
Hopefully,
night.
I'll be alive. All right. So now, what do you do to vacate the premises?
I'm going to press end and it will just go away.
Good night.